Richard, what's wrong? You're all humped over.
Just give me a minute.
What happened to it?
Seemingly just a romantic adventure film set in the wild. The Blue Lagoon once stunned the world in the 1980s.
Promise me you won't. Promise you'll always be with me.
I think you should be very proud of your work in Blue Lagoon.
I am.
Behind those dreamy, picturesque scenes lay a series of untold secrets. After more than 40 years of silence, Christopher Atkins, the film's leading man, has finally spoken out.
Did you fall in love with
Well, yeah, she was a beautiful girl, and she was really sweet, and she's super intelligent, and it was, you know, we were the only two people that age, you know, on the island, so, you know, we had a little crush.
What really happened behind the scenes of this controversial film Christopher Atkins grew up in a middle-class family in Rye, New York, a quiet town not far from the bustling city. Born on February 21, 1961, he was the son of Donald Bowman, a real estate agent, and Bitsy Niebauer, a science teacher. From an early age, Atkins displayed a spirited nature and a love for outdoor activities. At school, he wasn't known for academic excellence, but he stood out in sports and social events. He played on the Rye High School baseball and football teams, where friends remembered him as cheerful and approachable. In a 2024 YouTube video on his personal channel, he shared, "I never liked sitting still. I wanted to move to challenge myself." Besides sports, Atkins also had an interest in music, playing guitar in a school band. Although he didn't pursue music professionally, those small performances helped him build stage confidence, a skill that would later serve him well in his acting career. Atkins' mother often encouraged him to follow his passions, while his father instilled in him a sense of perseverance and responsibility. On the Behind the Velvet Rope podcast in 2023, Atkins recalled, "My dad always said, if you want something, work hard for it." These values helped him weather the turbulence of youth, especially when facing major life changes later on. Even though he grew up in a relatively stable environment, Atkins always longed to explore beyond Rye, a yearning that would eventually lead to unexpected opportunities. A life-changing role. In 1979, Christopher Atkins was an 18-year-old living in Rye, New York, dreaming of becoming a professional baseball player. Once a high school baseball star with a promising athletic future, a serious knee injury abruptly ended those hopes. Forced to find a new direction, he began working part-time as a model and taught sailing at a local club. No one, including Atkins himself, could have imagined he would end up in Hollywood, let alone star in a sensational film like The Blue Lagoon.
I had no expectations at all. I was just, I always wanted to play pro baseball. That was my dream, and I was modeling at the time with the Ford Modeling Agency, and there was this open call to this movie.
In a 2024 video posted on his official YouTube channel, Atkins admitted, "I never wanted to be an actor. I didn't even know what acting really was." Everything changed when a close friend urged him to audition for The Blue Lagoon, a film adaptation of Henry DeVere Stackpool's novel. The production was searching for a young, athletic actor with the right look to play Richard Lestrange, an innocent boy stranded on a deserted island.
Walking around the island to see the various places that we shot is a thrill because it's so nostalgic. Having seen the movie many times with various audiences, and now to be here where we shot it, it's wonderful. I really feel a true connection to this island.
With his fit physique and natural charm, Atkins was invited to audition in New York. He recalled on the Behind the Velvet Rope podcast in 2023, "I only went out of curiosity. I thought, just try it once for fun. What's there to lose, surprisingly?" Atkins beat out over 4,000 other candidates to land the lead role. Even though he had never faced a camera before, director Randall Kleiser, in a 1980 People magazine interview, said, "Christopher had the innocence and natural energy we needed for Richard." Still, the road to that role wasn't smooth. Atkins initially turned down the casting invitation, unwilling to step into an unfamiliar world. In his YouTube video, he revealed, "I said no. I didn't see myself belonging in that world." After some thought, though, Atkins recognized it was a rare opportunity. That last-minute decision completely changed his life, taking him from an unknown sailing instructor to a face recognized by millions. The role of Richard Lestrange was not only a major breakthrough, but also the start of a tumultuous journey from fame's bright lights to unforeseen challenges in the entertainment industry. A controversial behind-the-scenes journey. Not every path is paved with roses. A controversial behind-the-scenes journey. Not every path is paved with roses. The filming of the Blue Lagoon on the island of Nanuya Levu in Fiji was a grueling experiment, where nature and artistic ambition left a lasting imprint on Christopher Atkins. The crew, living in flimsy tents in the middle of the rainforest, faced searing heat, sudden downpours, and relentless insects. With no electricity, clean water, or modern communication, each day on the island was a battle to complete the scenes. On the Now What podcast, Atkins recalled, his voice tinged with disbelief as he looked back on those months. "We were completely isolated, like we were living inside the movie itself. The nude scenes, the film's most controversial element, placed Atkins in an especially difficult position. At 18, he had to face bold requests from director Randall Kleiser, including a brief but highly pressurized full-frontal nude shot. On the Behind the Velvet Rope podcast in 2023, he shared, "I was standing there, in front of dozens of strangers, and it felt like the entire world was watching me." Atkins felt awkward, not only because of the physical exposure, but also due to the age difference with Brooke Shields, who was only 14 at the time. To protect Shields, her sensitive scenes were performed by body double Kathy Trout. But Atkins had no such option. He had to push past his discomfort, relying on the support of the crew to get through the job. He recalled, "They told me, just imagine you're Richard, living on a deserted island, with no one to judge you." Though he admitted that this didn't really ease his anxiety, the health and safety of the crew were also pushed to their limits. Brooke Shields, who suffered from pneumonia during part of the shoot, still showed up in front of the camera, something Atkins deeply admired. On the Now What podcast in 2022, he said she was tiny, but her will was stronger than anyone's. In addition, activities like spearfishing to enhance the film's realism sparked intense debate. These acts, along with incidents where animals were harmed during production, were criticized by animal welfare advocates as irresponsible. Looking back, Atkins acknowledged the complexity of the issue. In a 2020 interview with Entertainment Weekly, he said, "We thought we were making art, but now I see there were things we should have done differently." Hollywood's landscape in the 1980s, where safety and ethics standards were looser, played a role in creating these challenges. Director Kleiser, with his vision of crafting a film that was both romantic and primal, sometimes prioritized artistry over the cast's safety. Atkins, inexperienced at the time, felt the pressure to meet expectations. In a YouTube video, he shared, "I had no idea what I was doing, just trying to make everyone happy." For Atkins, those days tested not only his physical endurance, but also shaped his resilience, patience, and adaptability. Shocking revelations. Behind the glowing success of the Blue Lagoon, Christopher Atkins faced inner turmoil and the career struggles he would only dare to speak about years later. One of his most startling revelations is his blunt view that the film could never be made today. On the Now What podcast in 2022, Atkins declared Hollywood would never allow a movie like that to be made now, emphasizing that modern standards for protecting young actors and ethical production have changed entirely. He explained that the 1980 crew lacked proper protocols to support the cast emotionally, especially while navigating sensitive themes like love and coming of age. Atkins recalled feeling thrown into an environment for which he was unprepared, something he believes would now be handled with far more oversight in the industry. The silent rivalry with his co-star Brooke Shields was another hidden layer that Atkins openly discussed. While Shields quickly became a global icon through roles like Pretty Baby and high-profile ad campaigns, Atkins felt left behind. On the Behind the Velvet Rope podcast in 2023, he admitted, "I watched her shine and wondered, why not me?" This envy didn't stem from malice, but from a deep desire to prove himself in a cutthroat industry. Atkins had hoped the Blue Lagoon would launch him into bigger roles, but follow-up projects like the pirate movie 1982 fell short of expectations, gradually eroding his confidence. He described this period as a race where I didn't know where the finish line was, exposing the pressure of maintaining fame in his 20s. As the spotlight faded, Atkins turned to alcohol to cope with the emptiness. In a 2024 YouTube video on his personal channel, he shared, "There were days I didn't want to face myself." His battle with addiction lasted for years, but he eventually found the strength to recover, staying sober for over 36 years. This journey was not only a personal triumph, but also a chance to rediscover his identity beyond fame. Atkins' revelations are more than the story of a former star. They reflect a powerful journey of self-discovery. He learned to accept his mistakes, from chasing stardom to letting himself sink into darkness. In the same podcast, he confided, "I used to think I had to be someone great, but now I just want to be myself." Timeless impact. When The Blue Lagoon was released, it was more than just a film, it became a cultural phenomenon, stirring intense emotions and sparking deep divisions among the public. With a storyline centered around two young cousins surviving on a deserted island, the film offered a love story that was both innocent and daring, set against the breathtaking natural backdrop of Fiji. The blend of aesthetic beauty and sensitive subject matter made the film a lightning rod for controversy. In his 1980 review for the Chicago Sun-Times, critic Roger Ebert described it as a strange love story, beautiful but unsettling in the way it handles youth. Although it faced criticism, The Blue Lagoon still achieved remarkable box office success, grossing over $58 million on a $4.5 million budget, proving its undeniable allure. One lesser-known aspect was the film's unexpected contribution to science. In one scene, a striking lizard appeared on Fiji's island and caught the attention of herpetologist John Gibbons. Realizing it was the rare Fiji crested iguana, Gibbons conducted further research that led to the identification of a new population of the species, published in the Herpetology Journal in 1981. When asked about this discovery, Christopher Atkins couldn't hide his amazement. "I never thought a movie scene could change an entire field of study," he shared in a 2024 YouTube video on his personal channel. This story shows how The Blue Lagoon, though made for entertainment, unintentionally created value far beyond the screen. The film also left a deep imprint on 1980s pop culture, becoming a symbol of untamed romance and freedom. Images of Atkins and Brooke Shields surrounded by the deep blue ocean, with wet hair and innocent gazes, became iconic in magazines, posters, and even inspired works of art. Atkins acknowledged that the film's legacy wasn't all glitz. On the Now What podcast in 2022, he said, "It was part of an era, with things we're proud of and things we've had to learn from." He recognized that the film's portrayal of a romantic relationship between two young characters was controversial and ultimately served as a lesson for Hollywood about its responsibility to protect both actors and audiences. More than 4 decades later, The Blue Lagoon is still remembered as a film that defined a moment in cinema, when the lines between art and ethics were still unclear. It inspired many later works, from deserted island love stories to television shows like Lost. At the same time, it sparked discussions about how the entertainment industry approaches sensitive subjects, particularly those involving youth and the human body. Looking back, Atkins expressed both appreciation and reflection. "We created something special, but it was also a wake-up call," he said in a 2020 interview with Entertainment Weekly. With all its beauty and controversy, the Blue Lagoon remains an indelible mark not only in Atkins's career, but in the history of popular culture. Entrepreneurial spirit. As the glamour of Hollywood began to fade, Christopher Atkins didn't allow himself to be trapped in the past. Instead, he found a new playground in the business world, where he channeled his creativity and love for nature into building an entirely different legacy. In the 1980s, as his acting career lost momentum after The Blue Lagoon, Atkins began exploring opportunities beyond the silver screen. He realized that his childhood passion for the outdoors, shaped during his early years in Rye, New York, could become the foundation for a new journey. In a 2019 interview with Entrepreneur magazine, he shared, "I wanted to create something tangible, something I could touch and be proud of," revealing the drive behind his move into business. Atkins founded Rocky River Outdoor Products, a company specializing in sporting gear and outdoor lifestyle products. It became more than a business venture. It was a way for him to reconnect with himself and the freedom of days spent along the Hudson River. One of his most notable achievements was inventing the Christopher Atkins Strike Jacket, EFL, a creative fishing lure designed to attract fish more effectively. The patented product reflects Atkins' attention to detail and inventive mindset. In a 2024 YouTube video on his personal channel, he recounted, "I spent hours on the boat watching how fish react. I thought, why not make something smarter?" The Strike Jacket EFL was quickly embraced by fishing enthusiasts and stood as proof of Atkins' ability to turn ideas into reality. Beyond business, Atkins also ventured into screenwriting and film production. Though on a smaller scale than during his peak years, he contributed scripts to several independent projects, where he had the freedom to express his artistic vision without constraints from major studios. On the Behind the Velvet Rope podcast in 2023, he said, "Writing scripts is like storytelling, and I've always wanted to tell stories that matter." These projects, while not commercially groundbreaking, demonstrated Atkins' willingness to experiment and grow, even in the face of risk. He also collaborated with young filmmakers, serving as a mentor and sharing lessons from his Hollywood experience. Atkins' journey through entrepreneurship and creativity wasn't just about achieving financial success. It was also his way of redefining himself. He admitted that stepping away from the spotlight gave him the chance to explore new aspects of who he was. In a 2021 interview with Closer Weekly, he reflected, "Hollywood taught me about fame, but business taught me about patience and perseverance." This mindset helped him navigate challenges from competing in the sports gear market to adjusting to a world that no longer revolved around his name. Through Rocky River Outdoor Products and other creative ventures, Atkins has shown that he's more than a film star. He's an entrepreneur with vision and relentless passion. The private happiness. In the 1980s, while the fame of the Blue Lagoon was still shining brightly, Atkins met Lynn Barron Weber, a beautiful Australian model, at an event in Los Angeles. The two were quickly drawn to each other by their free-spirited personalities and shared love for nature. They married in 1985, marking a new chapter in Atkins' life. In a 1986 interview with People, he shared, "Lynn is the one who makes me want to be a better version of myself," revealing the positive influence his wife had during the early years of their marriage. The couple welcomed 2 children, their son Grant, in 1985 and daughter Brittany in 1987. Becoming a father gave Atkins a new perspective on responsibility and the meaning of life. He often took his kids camping, fishing, and on outdoor adventures, experiences that reminded him of his own childhood. In a YouTube video, he said, I want my kids to grow up feeling free, but also understand the value of family. Though he stayed busy with business ventures and film projects, Atkins always tried to be present for his children's important moments. From Grant's baseball games to Brittany's dance performances. Brittany, now an actress and producer, once said in a 2021 Closer Weekly interview that her father was someone who always encouraged me to follow my passion, but also reminded me to stay balanced. His marriage to Lynn, though filled with love, did not come without its challenges. The pressures of fame, financial stress, and the struggle to balance work and family life created tension. After more than 2 decades together, the couple divorced in 2007. Atkins admitted that the separation was one of the most difficult periods of his life. On the Behind the Velvet Rope podcast in 2023, he reflected, "I learned that love isn't always enough, but you have to honor what you had." Despite the divorce, Atkins and Lynn maintained a respectful relationship for the sake of their children, and he remains closely connected to both Grant and Brittany. Today, Atkins lives near his mother in Connecticut, though he plans to move to Australia to be closer to his longtime girlfriend, Justine McIlree, whom he described as a source of positive energy in a 2020 interview with Entertainment Weekly. He continues to be a devoted father, frequently sharing proud moments of his children on social media. The Blue Lagoon was more than just a film. It was a journey that shaped a generation in the life of Christopher Atkins. From his energetic childhood in Rise, New York, to the unexpected moment he became a Hollywood star, Atkins entered the spotlight with innocence and courage. His revelations about jealousy, his battle with addiction, and his path to rediscovering meaning through business and family reveal a man who continues to rise after each stumble. What are your thoughts on today's story? Share them in the comments. Like this video and subscribe to discover more inspiring stories from the world of film. See you in the next videos.